With all of the national tragedy and higher crime rate we are experiencing today as Americans, the argument continues to be made that we should institute more strict gun control laws. And I am here today to present the facts and to separate the political opinion and to tell you as to why they are wrong. Today we have four main points that we are going to talk about. The first is that whenever you're talking to somebody or you may see on the news, they always say, look at Europe, the United Kingdom in specific, and Australia as a model for why gun control works. The second is that school shootings and other mass shootings, they would cease to exist or be in fewer numbers if we would just ban the AR-15. They always say the AR-15 or assault rifles, and they usually use that argument to say that as a means to why we should ban those particular weapons in general. The third is that they always make the argument that the Second Amendment is outdated and there's no way that our founding fathers could have predicted the firearm technology and weaponry we have today. And they were saying they were talking about muskets and flintlock pistols and things of that nature. The last thing we're going to talk about is that guns of any type save lives. There's a large part of America that is armed, and they use their arms to protect themselves. Every day it happens where a woman or whoever saved themselves from being mugged or attacked by a firearm. First off, we're going to talk about the argument that's always made that we should use the United Kingdom and Australia as an example as to why gun control works. The fact of the matter is that the laws they have in place and they've had on the books for quite some time is that there's not any good representation as showing that it actually does work. For example, the United Kingdom, they have a handgun ban, and their violent crime rate per capita is night and day compared to the United States. The United Kingdom has approximately 2,000 violent crimes per 100,000 people, while the U.S. only has 466. With this being said, the United Kingdom government, they haven't seen the results they've wanted from the handgun bans, and now they've instituted a knife ban, saying you can't have a knife on you greater than 3 inches, and it's got a fold, it can be a fixed blade. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes on with that. This just goes to show you that they didn't see the results they wanted from the gun ban, so they instituted a knife ban. They're just grasping at straws now here, it seems like. And Australia, on the other hand, they instituted a gun buyback program and instituted a set of laws in addition to that in 1996. The idea was to lower the homicide rate and to target mass shootings. Since the law was enacted, the number of firearms homicides in 1996 was approximately 354. The following years showed an actual rise in murders, homicides by firearms, and since then, it's been about 2002, 2003 since it actually went down below that number, and it's just all over the place. The data is strewed. There's nothing saying that, hey, look, we did this law in 96 and it actually worked. There's nothing saying that. It's not proven. And with that being said, they said that since 1996 there hasn't been any mass shootings. I've heard this argument a lot, which simply isn't true. At Monash, 7 people were shot. The Hectorville siege saw another 7 shot. Both were after 1996. Which brings us to our next point, which is the argument that's always been made that after every mass shooting we see, or during the election cycle when someone wants to get elected, they always say that we should have a ban on assault rifles. In particular, usually the AR-15 is what's brought up because they say they are the most common for mass shootings, which is inaccurate. With this being said, let's just define assault rifle. Assault rifle, according to Oxford's dictionary, is defined as a rapid-fire, automatic, magazine-fed rifle designed for infantry use. This definition alone alleviates the AR-15 from this argument. The AR-15 is not automatic. It's not designed for infantry use. It's based off the M4 or M16 platform, which is infantry use. But again, there's nobody in the military, Army, Marines, whatever, using an AR-15. It just doesn't happen. This is it for this argument. The next argument we're going to talk about is that they say that the Second Amendment is an antiquated law, and that our founding fathers couldn't have possibly seen into the future and using the type of weaponry that we have nowadays. And we're just going to see what the Second Amendment says. And what it says is a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The amendment does not mention any specific type of weapon. It doesn't say assault rifles. It doesn't say AR-15s. It doesn't say pistols, whatever. And it simply says that our rights to bear arms shall not be infringed upon. And they try to interpret this to how they want it to say, or to include this, or say that, oh, they were talking about muskets and flintlock pistols. That's what they had back then. It doesn't say anything about that. It doesn't say what type of firearms. So, I mean, that argument is null and void. And with all the negativity, let's focus on some of the positives around guns and what they actually do for the sake of the good. And with this, we're going to say that according to an article by American Gun Facts, women defend themselves from what would be attackers approximately 200,000 times a year. Guns are also used in America as self-defense on an average of over 2.5 million times per year. With this being said, only around 32,000 some odd guns are being used for murder or other violent crimes. In a study by the CDC on reducing and alleviating gun violence altogether, they noted that firearms are of great importance in countering gun violence. Let's just let that sink in a little bit. And with all this being said, around the gun control debate and ending gun violence, and I think everyone wants to end gun violence, but the fact of the matter is you're not going to do that by ending or putting a ban on guns, no matter what type of gun it is. We saw that the UK and the Australia example that's been used over and over has not been a promising and definite representation of how gun control works, and that banning firearms such as AR-15s will not stop mass shootings. It's just plain and simple. That's not how it works. And our founding fathers did not put any restriction on our Second Amendment, and it is not up for interpretation. And finally, guns save lives. It has been documented over and over again that Americans use guns to protect themselves day in, day out, in America and abroad. Thank you.